Hello? Who? Mr. Hawkins? Well, I'm Mr. Morley's secretary, Mr. Hawkins. Can you tell me what it's about?
No, it's nothing I can discuss over the phone. Ask Mr. Morley to come to my address. It's 14...
Hello? Hello? Hello, operator. I had an incoming call just now. Can you check the number? It's very urgent.
This is the current blackmail file. Oh, here's the one I want to show you. We suspect all these people of being the victims of blackmail. Those marked with a cross are the most serious cases. They've all gone bankrupt.
Do you know any of them?
No, not one has a police record. They're mostly respectable businessmen in well-to-do circumstances.
Typical Reilly victims.
Exactly. I suppose if we searched hard enough, we'd find almost anyone with some sort of skeleton in the cupboard. Family or personal. As you know, at one time, Reilly ran a very profitable business, built up on other people's mistakes or misfortunes. Hello? Oh, yes, Eileen. Shots were fired? Did you trace the address?
Yes. His name was John Hawkins, 14, Priors Road, Kilburn.
Priors Road, Kilburn. All right, Eileen. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Morley's here now. I'll tell him. No wonder Eileen heard shots. I'll get the police surgeon. Police. Cranshaw here. I need the surgeon right away. Send him to 14 Priors Road, Kilburn, please. Right.
Some letters here addressed to Hawkins. Might be useful. You better take charge of them.
Right. Well, we better have a look around and see if we can find anything else. Would you like to do something about this?
John.
Mrs. Hawkins?
Yes.
I'm afraid there's nothing you can do.
How did it happen?
We don't know yet. We've only just arrived ourselves. This is Inspector Cranshaw of Scotland Yard. My name's Morley.
Are you a policeman?
In an unofficial sort of way, I'm helping Inspector Cranshaw.
Mrs. Hawkins, do you know if your husband had any enemies?
I don't know of any.
Anyone who had a grudge against him or quarrel with him recently?
No.
Have you ever heard of Terence Reilly? You have, haven't you?
I believe my husband knew him at one time, but I never liked him, and I managed to persuade John not to have anything more to do with him.
Do you happen to know what his connection with him was?
No.
You know where Reilly is now, don't you? In jail, waiting trial for murder. Would it surprise you to know that he might have been blackmailing your husband?
Blackmailing him? But I can't think of anything that John could have done.
Well, what's the news? I don't think Mr. Hawkins is going to trouble us anymore. Oh, what's happened? Don't let's go into sordid details, Reilly. He won't talk anymore. Shall we leave it at that?
What about the letter you wrote? The police may get it.
I hope they do.
Supposing Morley gets hold of it.
Why should he?
All depends whether Hawkins got in touch with him or not. If he did, Morley's bound to come into it.
Well?
Didn't you ask Hawkins to meet you?
Sure.
That was very foolish of you, my friend.
You don't have to teach me my business. I've got it all figured out. Why do you think I wrote the note in the first place?
Why did you?
Looks silly on the face of it, doesn't it? I write to tell a man to meet me 2 days after I know he's going to be killed. Let's assume that Morley does get that note. What's the logical thing for him to do?
You tell me.
He'll watch St. Paul's churchyard, won't he? He'll look for a man wearing a carnation. That's me. Use your loaf, Reilly.
You're too obscure, my friend. I only hope you know what you're doing.
Remember Brown?
Mm-hmm.
He finished his sentence a few weeks ago. If things go according to plan, he may start another one quite soon. This one will be more of a permanent sentence. Get it now?
This is a letter that Cranshaw suggested I should follow up. It's addressed to Hawkins, and it's from the gentleman who signs his name with a cross. Meet me St. Paul's churchyard, usual place, 3 o'clock Friday. Dated the 16th. That's the day before yesterday.
Whoever wrote that couldn't have known about the murder.
Oh, we'll assume that for the moment. Says I should be wearing a striped tie and a white carnation.
Hawkins obviously didn't know him.
He probably didn't know Hawkins. Well, if he doesn't know me, I think I can quite cheerfully take Hawkins' place. Oh, hello there. Come on in. Trouble?
No, but I think we can definitely assume that Reilly's the back of this business.
Oh?
Look. These are copies of all the letters that Reilly has written to his brother Patrick since he's been in custody. Take a look at them. Looks to me as though Patrick is carrying on where Terence left off.
The Heavenly Twins.
Exactly. I wonder if there's ever been a couple quite like them in the whole history of crime.
Aren't we jumping to conclusions a little? I must say, I rather like Patrick on short acquaintance. He has such beautiful manners, like a Spanish grandee with an English accent.
I don't see anything in these letters.
Oh, no. On the surface, they're innocent enough, but they all contain a coded message. Each letter's carefully divided into paragraphs, do you see?
Oh, yes, the first letter of each paragraph. What have we got here? Billings.
I'll try another one.
This is Conway. You got that list on you?
Yes.
Yes, Billings and Conway, there we are. Only find the rest of them if we go through all these letters.
Oh, Hawkins is there. Yes, there we are. Well, one thing we can say for the Reilly brothers, they're never stuck for ideas.
Looks like a well-organized blackmail ring. Probably taking 2 or 3 people to operate it. Oh, we have to watch Patrick.
I'll put a man outside the house. He can check visitors. By the way, what do you think of Mrs. Hawkins?
I haven't quite made up my mind. She might be frightened, or she might be shooting a big line. Do you think you can keep this out of the papers for a day or two?
Well, I can't guarantee it.
Till after Friday?
Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll be at the office if you want me.
Right. I can't wait to meet our friend Mr. X. St. Paul's churchyard is a big place. There were 2 things that puzzled me about that letter. On the one hand, the writer had said, meet me at the usual place. And on the other, by suggesting a method of identification, he'd indicated that the 2 men hadn't met before. This contradiction suggested that Hawkins had been blackmailed or threatened by more than one person, and had been in the habit of meeting different tormentors each time payment was demanded. Miss Hawkins.
Well, now, Mr. Hawkins, how much have you been able to raise this time?
Nothing at all.
Nothing. Boss isn't going to be very pleased about that.
What do you think he'll do?
No hard feelings, you understand, because I only work for him.
You're on a flat salary.
I'll say it's flat, too flat. But it keeps body and soul together, you know. Answering your question now, I think he's liable to go to town on you. You know, you've been a very silly boy in your time, and sooner or later the past catches up on you. Crossley and Co. are going to be very surprised when they find they sent an innocent man to jail for something you did. Can't you even raise something on account? I've got my living to look after, you know.
I thought you said you were on a flat salary.
And commission. There's another thing that worries me. When I get too many defaults in payment, they start deducting.
Well, that's too bad.
You sound as if you don't care.
On the contrary, one day you may find out how much I do care. Cranshaw had kept his word, but of course he couldn't keep murder from the press indefinitely. Meanwhile, I'd collected a valuable piece of information. I was hoping to be able to use it and strike the first blow before the gang had a chance to scatter. Crossley Limited, 17A, Hatton Garden.
Found him honest and reliable. He left of his own accord, and I haven't heard from him since. Well, that's all I can tell you, Mr. Morley.
What was the name of the employee who robbed you?
Brown.
And you were quite satisfied that he was the culprit?
Yes, I was. He protested his innocence, of course, but one of the stones was found in his possession.
When was this?
4 years ago. He was released from jail, let me see, about a month ago.
You any idea where he is now?
We're not exactly on correspondence terms, Mr. Morley. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm afraid I'm rather busy.
Well, thanks for your help.
Thank you.
You know, Inspector Cranshaw.
Morley here.
Sorry the news had to break out, old boy. I had to give it to the press. The assistant commissioner got on to me. You saw Reilly go in, eh? Oh, I shouldn't think there's any connection there.
Crossley's is one of the best firms in Hatton Garden, so if Reilly's doing business with him, he's probably trading under another name.
I can check that. Oh, incidentally, I see in the wanted ads that Mrs. Hawkins is advertising for a maid. I wonder if we ought to get somebody to apply.
Well, it certainly couldn't do any harm, and at least we'd find out more about her. I'll talk to Eileen. Goodbye. Eileen?
Whenever you say Eileen in that tone of voice, I know there's a really unpleasant job coming my way.
Oh, I don't know about unpleasant. I understand maids have unions these days. They're very well paid and they get bags of time off. How'd you like to be a maid?
I loathe it.
Well, the first thing to do is to make an appointment with Mrs. Hawkins. Write her a letter in your best copperplate and make 1 or 2 spelling mistakes.
Oh, Aggie, I shall be out this morning.
Yes, madam.
There isn't very much for you to do. Just scrub the kitchen floor, fill the coal scuttles, clean the oven, wash down the bathroom, oh, and of course don't forget the washing up.
No, madam.
I'm afraid it's piled up rather badly since Mr. Hawkins died.
Yes, madam.
I shall be back sometime this afternoon.
Yes, madam.
Morley here. Oh, hello, Aggie. How's Aggie this morning?
What was that line you handed me about maids having a union? Anyway, I thought I'd better tell you she's gone out. Somebody came along in a car and picked her up. It was a man, but I couldn't see him very well. And another thing, I've been through her wardrobe, and some of her clothes come from Paris.
Paris, eh? Were they new?
I don't think so. It might be a good idea to find out when she was last over there.
Well, I could check with the passport people, but... Yes, the clothes might be imports, of course. Still, you never know. Thanks, Eileen.
Mrs. Brown.
Yes, sir?
Have you checked on this man Brown yet?
Yes, sir. I was just going to get through to you. He's living in Greenville Street, and he works at the Blue Ball Filling Station in West Street.
Thank you.
As Brown seems to have a motive for murdering Hawkins, I thought at first he might be the blackmailer I met in St. Paul's churchyard. Anyway, I think I'll have a talk with him.
Come in. Anything happened?
Mrs. Hawkins went into Reilly's house a few minutes ago, sir.
With anybody?
Yes, sir. A man. I didn't recognize him.
All right, thank you, Brent.
Thank you, sir.
Could be our friend. If we can establish a connection between him and Mrs. Hawkins, we've got a line to work on.
Motive, revenge.
He discovered that Hawkins framed him and bumped him off. No, it sounds too easy. I can't help feeling my hunch was right.
What was that?
I'll tell you after I've had a word with Brown. So long. I asked for Ronald Brown, and an attendant directed me to the office. Mr. Brown?
That's me.
I understand you used to work for Crossley's Limited.
What do you want?
When did you last see Reilly?
There are two Rileys. Which one?
Terence.
Not for 4 years.
Did you know him well?
Well, I met him once with the man who framed me.
You mean Hawkins?
Yeah, wait a minute. Who are you?
My name doesn't really matter. I know you had a raw deal. If you like, you can just look on me as a friend. Did Reilly put Hawkins up to the job?
That's what the boys told me when I was inside. They also told me something else. Afterwards, Reilly blackmailed Hawkins. Now I hear he's been murdered. Well, all I can say is he got what was coming to him. I don't know who you are, mister, and I don't really care. All I know is now I want to be left alone. You a copper?
Not exactly.
Well, if you think I murdered them...
No, I don't. I'm just picking up on a few things, that's all. Thank you for your help.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Who's your girlfriend?
One of the Hawkins neighbors. Scared out of her life.
Did you send for her?
Yes, I wanted to check up on a few details of the Hawkins married life. And did I get details? You know what neighbors are.
Yes, about as friendly as strange bulldogs as a rule.
Mrs. Hawk lived with her husband for 4 years, till 2 months ago.
Is that so? She kept that pretty dark.
Yes. And all the time she was painting a sweet domestic picture of married bliss. In fact, she left Hawkins just after he retired from work. What do you make of that?
I'm back to my hunch. The pieces are fitting together nicely. Cranshaw, have you any means of checking where Terence Reilly was 4 years ago?
Terence Reilly?
Yes. I mean, in what country? I've got an idea he was abroad somewhere.
Well, I could talk to him.
Don't ask him outright, or he'll be on his guard. Try and get him in one of his reminiscing moods. He can't resist talking about his travels. Paris, Vienna, Berlin. I can just hear the old scoundrel spreading himself on the subject of Paris.
My dear fellow, don't talk to me about Paris. I know every inch of it.
Yes, I'll bet you wouldn't mind being there now.
Well, that is an unfortunate observation, Mr. Cranshaw. And while we're on the subject, has the date been fixed for my trial?
Not yet. Personally, I haven't been to Paris for 10 years. Of course, you were there quite recently, weren't you?
You should know, shouldn't you?
How long ago did you say?
About 2 months ago.
And before that?
Oh, about... What about a little game at cards?
No, thank you.
Morley here. Oh, hello, Cranshaw. What did you find out?
All I found out was that Reilly is a thoroughly unreformed character. Tried to get me to play cards with him. Of course I didn't. What, with 3 aces parked up his sleeve? Not likely.
Well, never mind. Try again another time. I want to put through a long-distance call to Paris, please.
Would you mind telling me how long you expect me to go on breaking my fingernails?
My dear Aggie...
Don't you Aggie me. I don't think Mrs. Hawkins will be very long now, sir. Oh, it is Mrs. Hawkins.
I'm sorry to worry you again. Have you a few minutes to spare?
Yes. All right, Aggie, you can go.
Yes, madam.
Is anything wrong?
How well your natural beauty must have blended with the gayest city in the world.
What do you mean?
Paris, 4 years ago. Just after you left your husband, remember?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I think you do. I've just been in contact with a friend of mine who runs a casino in Paris. He remembers you. He says you were running a gambling racket with Terence Reilly. You left your husband on the proceeds of the diamonds he stole from his employer. You made him steal those diamonds at Reilly's instigation. Another man was blamed for the crime, but Reilly had enough on Hawkins to come back to this country and blackmail him into complete bankruptcy. You were in cahoots with him against your own husband.
It's a lie.
I don't think so, Mrs. Hawkins.
You don't even know Reilly.
And what were you doing at his brother's house today? You were sorting out the next victim, weren't you? Were you going to murder him if he threatened to go to the police?
Please, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did. You murdered your husband because you found out he was trying to get in touch with me out of sheer desperation.
Put your hands up, Mr. Morley. See if he's got a gun.
I've given them up. They pull my clothes out of shape.
I didn't want to kill you, Morley, but now I'm afraid I'll have to. We don't like too many killings, do we, Christine?
You didn't make a bad job of covering up on the last one.
You mean the appointment I made with Hawkins for after he was killed? Nice touch, that, wasn't it? You saw through it a bit too late.
As a matter of curiosity, did you ever meet Hawkins?
Never. But I expected you to turn up.
Why?
Because we knew Hawkins was trying to get in touch with you. I put you on to Crossley, because then I knew you'd find out about Brown, who had a very good motive for murdering our late lamented friend.
So Brown was to be the scapegoat for the second time.
That's life, Mr. Morley. Let's go.
Your hat, Mr. Morley?
Is this what you're looking for, Mrs. Hawkins? I wouldn't move if I were you.
Nice work, Eileen.
So it's the night policeman again.
Looks like you phoned us just in time.
That's a good job Mrs. Hawkins has a telephone.
Take her away, Constable.
This way, ma'am.
And that is that. Oh, by the way, we got Patrick Reilly as well. He was trying to make a getaway, and one of my men caught him.
Good. You'll be able to put him in a cell next to his brother. They can comfort each other. Well, Aggie, you doing anything on your day off?
Not a thing, Mr. Morley.
Splendid. You'll be able to come and spring clean my house, just to keep your hand in.
Oh.